Hello and welcome to this edition of Tips and Tricks. Now today I'm going to be talking about the best new rig for flipping soft plastics. As far as I know, me and viewers and friends of mine that know me are the only ones that are flipping this rig. It's basically a structure jig like the Biffle Bug or Chompers has some. This is our own, this is our bobblehead. It was basically something that, well, I learned about it, but Tommy Biffle, who designed it, uses it outside and just crawls it like this on the bottom of that. But originally, I thought he flipped it. And so I started flipping it, and I started catching so many fish on it, flipping it. When I showed it to people, they're like, oh, well, I don't like to flip a football head, because basically, that's what's on it. I think the KVD structure jig has more of a pointed. The reason I like these is, and I've been flipping a long time. I started flipping plastics like this, Texas rigged, you know, with the weight and it pegged. Now the difference between that and this is, well, most pros like to flip jigs. And they find that they have better success and better hookup ratio flipping a jig. Well, there's the difference between the jig and this and the jig and this is, in fact, this you can put a soft plastic on, the jig, it's skirted, it's different. But this, see, the thing with this is, the thing when you peg this, and I've been flipping since the late 80s, sometimes you feel the fish and it's pulling on it and you set the hook and it just comes flying back out. When you have a Texas rig and you have it pegged, when that fish takes it into its mouth, you have no idea how this thing is oriented. I mean, the hook is designed for coming through it this way. When it hits the jaw, boom, it sets it. Well, that fish might have it in there sideways. If it has it in there sideways and you set the hook's not going to set. It's going to come right out. And so that's why I like this new rig for soft plastics and why you get better hook percentage and it's almost right in their snout. Now I'm probably going to be putting a link to a show where I fished this from my boat. It was like, I think a couple years ago at Pinot, showing you me fishing the soft plastic on this rig, the jointed jig for flipping, and all the hook sets and how it was straight in the snout. But see, the reality is this, like a jig, it self-rights. See this, since it's jointed, it gives it a different look, and that's another thing about this. It's a different look. It's something they're not used to when you're flipping in there because they get a lot of pressure from flipping, and people are always flipping. But this jointedness and the way the thing drops and all that, first off, that gives it a different look. But once you get in there and it gets in its mouth, since this thing is jointed and that hook doesn't turn much, if it's upside down, if it's sideways, no matter which way it is, it self-rights like a jig. So it could be in their mouth sideways, and sure, it's in there sideways and you go to set the hook, it doesn't pull out sideways. That thing flips and self-rights. So even if it's sideways like this, when you set the hook, it'll flip that thing so the hook is straight up. It's just the way this thing is. That, with the fact that it gives it a new look and a different look, is why this thing is actually the new rig you should be using for when you're flipping soft plastics. Give up on the Texas rig. I know they have those new ones where when you set the hook kind of like pops up. But that doesn't matter if it's sideways. With that line coming through here, just with the bobber stop, when you set the hook, it doesn't self-right. This will flip itself no matter where it is because that eye is on there. Like the eye in a jig, which is standard now. The jig can be sideways, you set the hook, it flips this way. It can be upside down, it flips this way. That's what this thing does. And that's why this thing is, I think, the best new rig for flipping soft plastics. Structure jig, like I said, this is our bobblehead. It's basically the Biffle head. A little bit different hook and style on it. Chompers has them, I think some other companies have them, but try flipping this. I know it's a football head, most of them are football heads. People are like, oh, I don't flip it. But I'm telling you, going into reeds, going into wood, going into weeds and that, this thing comes through it just fine. Anyway, it's football. But it's something new to the fish, it's a different look, but it's that self-righting. Like I said, I'll have a link below for the video where I show you guys how to fish this and the fish I catch. It's on my old boat in Pinot. But I'm telling you, you gotta give this a try. I know it looks funky and all that, but if you start flipping your soft plastics on this thing, you're gonna be amazed on the percentage of hook set and how good you hook them. How it's usually just right through the freaking snout and like right between the eyes. So there it is, the new rig for flipping soft plastics. Basically sort of a jointed jig head. Give it a try. Hope this helps. Until next time.